I have seen Sierra Leone. Have you? When I say Sierra Leone, what do you see? Poverty? War? Ebola? Corruption? Blood diamond? If this is all you can see, you have missed the bus. Sierra Leone is a country in West Africa with a population of about 6.44 million people on an area of 71,740 kilometers squared. The country is bordered to the west by the Atlantic Ocean, to the north and the northeast by Guinea, and to the south and southeast by Liberia. In the 4 years preceding the Ebola outbreak, Sierra Leone's economy outperformed both the West African and Pan-African averages year on year, placing it among the world's top 20 economies by growth during that period. In 2013 alone, Sierra Leone's real GDP growth was approximately 20%. Footprint to Africa was in Sierra Leone. And we saw a resilient people and government with 2 peaceful democratic elections, including a peaceful transition of power between the 2 major political parties. We saw a focused investment and export promotion agency that is ready and willing to support investors led by a brilliant young man.
This is the right time for you to come to Sierra Leone and invest. So if you think you want to invest in Africa, you have to invest in a country that has shown resilience in the face of risk that has happened in the country. We have seen what happened in the case of Ebola. Most people thought their businesses would collapse, even though they downsized, they closed down. But at the end of the day, we have seen businesses who continued to operate and continue to increase return on investment, even in the face of that aridity and disenchantment. So we have shown that our country, we are resilient. We have a leadership that is very resilient, and we have a people that is resilient. And investors want to invest in a location where they have investor confidence, that there is actually a going concern of their business, that they have support from government, they have support from key stakeholders in the country, and they also have support from institutions that have been established to support their businesses. And they have all those. It will only take savvy investors to actually locate Sierra Leone. So savvy investors, this is your time. Sierra Leone is not only the resilient destination, but it's Africa's new investment destination.
Sierra Leone has a strategic location on the Atlantic seaboard of West Africa, with one of the largest natural harbors in the world, making it one of the world's richest fishing grounds. The country's 506-kilometer coastline and 30,000-kilometer continental shelf boasts a commercially viable stock of fish, making fisheries one of Sierra Leone's lesser-known source of untapped wealth. You may have heard that people mine diamonds in their backyard. What about this amateur video by an old lady? No wonder the Minister of Fisheries has this to say.
Luckily, what we have in Sierra Leone is a continental shelf. You've been around, you will see the mountain moving into the water. And when it moves into the water, it goes about a minimum of about 50 miles, like a plateau, whereby you have about a minimum of 12 fathoms depth. And therefore, fish would come from the ocean to have small fish. Therefore, the activities of fish growth in our waters is powerful. Luckily, Sierra Leone also, we are placed in Africa at the Gulf. And you have the Guinea current moving northwards, and you have the Canary currents moving southwards. And where do they meet? They meet in Sierra Leone. You bring fish from the south to Sierra Leone, and you bring fish from the north to Sierra Leone. And that's one big advantage that we have. Come to Sierra Leone. This is the place to come, that your investments are not toppled. We have a president, ministers of government who work together. So it's not just fisheries. When you talk about fisheries, you talk about trade. When you talk about fisheries, you talk about water resources. When you talk about fisheries, you talk about health, sanitation. So we are all working together. Come to Sierra Leone. Investment, we are ready.
Agriculture is one of Sierra Leone's selling points, with the sector accounting for an estimated 40.5% of GDP and still largely untapped. With approximately 5.5 million hectares of arable agricultural land, almost 75% is uncultivated and boasting of fertile soils and ample rainfall, roughly 3,800 millimeters per year, making it one of the world's most humid countries in Africa.
And if we look at Sierra Leone, for example, we have enough water. Our rainfall is in the range of 3,000 to 4,000 millimeters per annum. We have 9 major rivers, 3 minor rivers, some of those rivers cutting across the country. The sunshine is enough. Even when we have the highest overcast, the sun rays is still enough to ensure that we get good produce from our agricultural lands. Africa is the destination for investments, but you can get better deal in Sierra Leone.
There are endless opportunities in the communications industry.
Communication industry for today is the sector that has the highest potential for growth. If you have your money in your pocket, you have access to capital, the right place to put it now is Sierra Leone. That is where you will have an ROI, return on investment, of over 20 to 30%. In the West, you will not get more than 5%. In America, for now, I think it's 1% of your capital. But if you come to Sierra Leone and you invest in the area of mining, you invest in the area of fisheries, you invest in the areas of transportation, invest in the areas of service delivery, and in ICT, your return on investment will be phenomenal. I think you can reap anything between 20 to 30%. And that will make the people of Sierra Leone happy. It will make you happy because you are creating jobs. You are also making money for yourself. So come to Sierra Leone. We are open for investment.
Sierra Leone, being a resource-rich country with significant deposits of diamonds, gold, bauxite, rutile, and iron ore, can never be overemphasized. The country has one of the world's largest deposits of iron ore, containing an estimated 12.8 billion tons, significant reserves in bauxite, including a reserve at Port Loco of around 100 million tons. Talking about rutile, in 2014, Sierra Leone produced an estimated 120,000 tons of contained titanium dioxide, which accounted for roughly 14% of total world production. Over 600,000 carats of diamonds was exported out of Sierra Leone in 2013 and 2014 alone. Between 2009 and 2012, the value of Sierra Leone natural resource exports exceeded $1.2 billion. The adoption of detailed regulations, which provide more predictability and certainty to investors, have improved prospects in the Sierra Leone extractives industry.
There's no better place you can find right now to invest. Small country, 6 million people, huge potential. And I must say this in this interview that the last geological survey that was done national was in the 60s. The iron ore mine, the company that I worked for, back in those days when they did the survey, the results came out, they said it was around 400 to 600,000 tons of ore sitting on that hill. But because of advancement in technology, because of huge resources put into the investigation, we're talking about 12.8 billion tons. That tells you something, that this country is largely underexplored. Largely underexplored. And I want to say this, after these reforms that I'm talking about, after the completion of the core minerals policy, and which is going to happen very soon, we're in the advanced stage, and after the generation of this data, Sierra Leone would be the best place to invest in the world.
Sierra Leone is a member of the World Trade Organization, the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes Convention, and has 3 bilateral treaties with Germany in 1965, United Kingdom in 1981 and revised in 2000, and China in 2001, which is not yet in force. Sierra Leone is reputed for fighting corruption and has set in motion the perfect legal framework to ensure investors are protected, and this has been demonstrated in so many ways.
Corruption is a challenge in Africa, but a lot of work has been done towards that, to meet that challenge, and Sierra Leone is no exception. We have introduced what we call the Anti-Corruption Act, and this act has given powers to the agency, that is the Anti-Corruption Commission, to investigate and prosecute its own cases. Since we invested that power to the agency, many more cases have gone to court, very high-profile cases. Sierra Leone stands out as the only country where ministers of government, city ministers of government, have been prosecuted for corruption. High-profile cases, including judges, have been prosecuted and convicted for corruption. So I believe we have a good rating in that regard. And in the last 5 years, Sierra Leone has climbed 39 spaces upwards in the Corruption Perception Index. It's a good record.
Forecast for 2016 and 2017 places the country's estimated growth at 0.7% in terms of real GDP, which is above other sub-Saharan economies such as Kenya, Nigeria, and Ghana. It is expected that growth will rebound to double digits over the next 3 to 5 years. This is the Sierra Leone we saw, and the real Sierra Leone. If you're an investor, won't you rather be in Sierra Leone? If you're not in Sierra Leone, you are not in Africa.